Welcome back, guys, and it's been a while, but we're going to try and get back into the swing of it with our first review of 2019, and it's the X1 RGB keyboard from Thermaltake. So let's dive in. So let's have a look at the contents of the box before we delve into the keyboard itself. So in the box you get the keyboard and you get some keycaps and keycap remover tool. And we'll go through those and show you how to do that a little bit later on. So the keycaps you get in are red keycaps and they look very, very nice actually. I haven't tried these yet, but as I've said already, we will try and put those on and just show you how easy it is to change the keycaps on there. So here is the X1 keyboard, the X1 RGB keyboard in all its glory, and I have to tell you this thing does weigh quite a bit. So let's look at the construction of the X1 keyboard, and I have to say I'm really impressed. I use the G910 and this thing feels much better made, much better made, and it's a cheaper keyboard than the G910. There is hardly or literally no flex in that at all, which you would expect from a top quality keyboard. You get an extremely flat bottom, so if you like putting your keyboard flat on the ground, it comes with the rubber on the bottom obviously to stop it moving about, because you don't want it moving about in the middle of a game. So also on the bottom we have the feet here, as you can tell, so you can raise the back of the keyboard up just a little bit. You actually get two sizes on this one, so you get the larger size, which I have up there, and you can flip the larger size down and you get a smaller foot if you just want it up a tiny little bit, like that. So as we move on to the cable, it is a braided cable and it is quite thick. So far that's been my only gripe with the keyboard. Nothing wrong with the keyboard itself, so I'm going to put that out there now. So if you don't want to watch the rest of the video, it's a great keyboard. I actually like using this keyboard over the G910. Not a great fan of the Cherry MX Blue switches. They are slightly too noisy for my liking, but typing on it is brilliant keyboard to type on. However, as we're talking about construction, the cable is thick and I think it's a little bit too thick, and I find it difficult to route where you want it to go. Obviously once you have got it routed around your desk, around the back of your monitor, however you're going to do that, don't move it. It's actually quite heavy. The cable is quite heavy, and there is a reason for that. On the end, you have a USB pass-through cable, the USB cable for the keyboard itself, and an audio jack pass-through cable. Now this is not just a stereo output cable, this is an input cable as well. So if you've got one of those single pole or four pole connections, like a lot of headphones use these days, especially on the PlayStation, you can just plug that into the back, and I'll show you that in a moment. And that will allow you to use your microphone and headphones through one connection, which is actually really good, and I do like that feature on this keyboard. But for my liking, the cables, these cables are too rigid, especially on the end where you plug them in. I find that there's too much weight here. You've got the splitter where the cables split here as well, and then you've got the weight of the magnet to filter out any interference along the cable itself, but it's just too weighty for my liking. Once you plug all these in, they don't flex very well, so you end up plugging these into the back of the computer, and they're kind of being weighed down by all this here. And I find that a little bit too heavy. Obviously you can probably support that in another way, but I thought that was not a very good feature of this keyboard itself. The cable is just too thick and too heavy. But as we move on to the keyboard itself, the main attraction of this video, you get your usual Cherry MX Blues, as I've already said, and I'll do a sound test on that in a little bit. You get the keypad on it. It's quite a small keyboard. When you compare this to the G910, it does feel nice and small, which is really nice. You also get your media controls there, the volume slider there. You also get a button for the RGB, so you can turn that on and off if you want to, and change the brightness of that here directly on the keyboard. And you get a couple of other buttons here, one for game mode, one for, I think is the Microsoft Store, at least that's what the icon looks like. So you're probably wondering how you can control the RGB on the keyboard. Well, I have to tell you, on this one you don't actually need to install the software. There is one caveat to that, and I will tell you that in a moment. You can control some of the basic features of the RGB, you can change certain modes on it, and I will show you that as well in a moment. I'll go through all the modes in some B-roll. You can press the FN key and then the F6 key on the keyboard while holding down FN, that is, and you can cycle through the different modes without even using software on your computer. However, the caveat that I mentioned earlier is that if you want to update the firmware, of which does happen quite regularly since I've had it, there's probably been a few updates for it, you will need the software to be able to do that, and that does improve compatibility with some of their other software. So the one thing that I have a gripe with regarding RGB is that the software is just ridiculous. I think that all the RGB software for a given manufacturer should be within one contained program, not several programs. There is a specific program for the X1 RGB keyboard, which in itself is really, really good, and I actually like the interface on the X1 RGB software over the other sync software, for example, their fans. If they could make it look like the X1 software, that would be great, because I actually prefer that interface over the fan interface, the sync software for that. But what really bugs me more than anything else is the fact that there's more than one software for all the different devices. Now, what would be really good is if you guys could actually make one software to work with all your devices. That would be amazing. So I've turned down the studio lights just a little bit in the hope that you can see the RGB. I will show you some B-roll of the RGB modes on this in a bit, but hopefully you can just see how bright this thing is. I've got quite a lot of light on it at the minute, so I'm not really sure how that's going to show up for you guys. But I have to say, with regards to the RGB, the transitions between the changing colours and transition between different modes and all that kind of stuff is just the fading of the light is just extremely smooth, and I really, really like that. I love the RGB on this keyboard. So a couple other points about this keyboard. As I mentioned earlier, we've got on the back, we've got near to the stupidly sized cable on the back there is, right next to that is the audio jack there, and then the USB pass-through on the back, which is really handy if you're using a set of USB headphones, which I do. You just plug them straight into your keyboard and away you go. So as we move on to the keys, the Cherry MX Blue switches, they're known for being quite noisy anyway. They're not the noisiest, but they are pretty noisy. So we're going to do a bit of a sound test now, and hopefully you can hear how noisy they are and whether they're going to be good for you. As you can see, they are quite noisy. Obviously, I moved the keyboard closer to the mic just to make sure that you guys could actually hear that. It is quite intrusive. So after switching between the G910, the Logitech G910, and the Thermaltake X1, I have to say, after using the Roma G keys, I prefer the Cherry MX Blues. So I said earlier in the video I was going to show you how to remove the keycaps on the keys and replace it with the red ones that come with the keyboard as well. So obviously remove the keycap removal tool, put the other keys to one side. So I'm going to replace the WASD keys, or for now just the W key. You push the key removal tool, just push it over the keys, and then you quite frankly just pull it. And there you go, there's the keycap removed. That is the black keycap that comes with it. So we're going to put that to one side. I'm going to get the W key out of the bag. So I have the W key in my hand and I don't need the removal tool anymore, so we can just push the red keycap onto the key to replace the black one. Push down hard and there we go. We have a red key on the keyboard. And there we have it. We've done the keys on the keyboard. So the keys you get are there, and it actually looks really, really nice with the black as well. So you get the Q, W, E, R, A, S, D and F keys in the pack. Nice. Also with the keyboard you get a magnetic wrist kind of rest as well, and that is down here. You just literally push it under the keyboard slightly and it kind of just attaches itself to the keyboard, and we can lift that up. I don't know, hopefully the magnet's strong enough for it to hold it. No, it's not. But on the desk that isn't going to be an issue. So it extends the keyboard on the front side a little bit more and gives you a bit of comfort on your wrists. So that's great to see, and I like the fact it's magnetic as well and doesn't actually stick to it. You can just pull it off, no issues at all. Nice. Also with the keyboard you get dynamic Perky backlighting, fully controllable with the software, so if you want to do that kind of thing you will need the X1 RGB software to do your own color modes. A couple of things that are on the box which I'm going to relay to you guys. This is compatible with Windows 7 up to Windows 10 obviously. The Cherry MX Blue switches with a 50 gram actuation force, obviously the 50 million keystroke lifespan of the Cherry MX Blues as well. N key rollover for anti-ghosting, which means that you can press as many keys down as you like and the keyboard won't go mental at you and beep away while you're holding too many keys down, so you don't need to worry about that. Who does that even? And as I've already said, fully programmable macro keys on the fly. The keyboard also has a 1000 Hz polling rate. So with all that good stuff in mind, Will.n.Dad give this keyboard an 8 out of 10. So thanks for watching another one of our videos. Sorry this one took so long to get out. We have been busy with other things. However, we're back and we're back for good.
Yeah.
We hope you liked this video. Expect more cool stuff coming from Thermaltake very soon on this channel. So chuck us a like, get subscribed and maybe consider looking at the links down below where you can buy these things. They are affiliate links, so some of the profit from that will go to help keep this channel going and keep us getting bigger and better and better and bigger. Thanks for watching guys. We'll see you in the next one.
Goodbye.
Hey guys, and welcome back to our first review video of 2019. And in this video we're going to be looking at another Thermaltake product, and it's the X1 RGB Hey guys, and welcome back to our first video. No, it's not our first video because we've already done a video. Ah, melting!
He's dead, guys. My hair's a mess, I know.
And we're back in the game.